You have does all of your clients' data separately, obviously, like in separate warehouses, and you're going through and you're building report. Like, what was your reporting before versus what is it now, and how has it helped you make better decisions?
Yeah, as far as like reporting before, standardized spreadsheet stuff, supermetrics, BigQuery kind of stuff, pulling it out, throwing it into a spreadsheet. As good as AI is, you still need like the granularity in like a spreadsheet sometimes. I feel like you still can't beat it, right? So the
Mhm.
client facing reporting is still like spreadsheet focused. But for example, if we standardize our naming convention across everything and have the exact same UT and parameters across every single ad that goes across every single ad account, we could say, hey, tell me how UGC performs to females across every single client in the month of March. And it would tell us exactly what happened, right? Tell me how it performs to men. Tell me the age of the model, right? So if we name the ads, angle, model, age range, hair color, hook, length, right? And just keep going. Now, if that's standardized, we could say, hey, pull format 6, tell me, the like comparisons across all of our clients throughout March and what has the best ROAS, right? Or what has the lowest CPA. And then what we're taking on top of that is we're tying this to customer lifetime value with identity mapping. So we'll be able to tell you what the customer lifetime value is instantly. So as soon as someone finishes an order, we push that customer lifetime value back and we end up tagging that in the warehouse. So we're able to say, hey, this is generating the highest customer lifetime value customers. UGC, blonde hair model, 25 to 34 with this hook.
Nice. I have a follow-up there. Um, so naming conventions, a lot of folks use to ensure that they stay organized. A lot of these larger platforms, Motion, they rely partly on naming conventions to keep organized. Say I'm a creative agency, you know, for example, and there are a lot of different media buyers out there who have their own naming conventions. Have you explored something like using, I don't know, let's say Claude's Sonnet to review the assets rather than using a naming convention? And if so, like how does that compare to like sort of the old fashioned way, like you're outlining UTM parameters plus naming?
Yeah. So we're using Gemini because Gemini can watch videos. I'm not sure about Claude Sonnet, right? And so Gemini, we're trying to figure out if Gemini can tag these videos, very similar to how Motion tags the videos. The issue is with it, the granularity that we're trying to pull as we get deeper and deeper is where things get difficult, right? And so
Hmm.
like, there's also not like a QA point of this of like somebody has to go through and QA all of this. And when you have 10,000 ads going live, so it's easier for us to just dump it onto the creative team who already has the naming convention. And so they're going through and actually naming it while they know what the file actually is. So instead of our media buyers watching every file, and instead of us QAing over some AI source, I think it'll get there, to be honest. I just don't see it right now. It's something we are working on, but it's a tough one to unlock, I feel like still. Motion surprises me how far they've gone with it. I mean, they're incredible.
Totally. And I think that like honestly speaks to sometimes like the old fashioned way is still the best. Like not everything needs to be totally optimized in that sense. Again, I agree. Like if you do UTM parameters and naming conventions right, like you're going to have a far more systematic and like thoughtful database than if like you're just, either having Sonnet or Gemini sort of guess at what you're trying to build.
Yeah, the way I've been like explaining it to our team is basically imagine if Triple Whale, obviously they have like 4,000 people on it, right? We're nowhere near this size, but imagine if Triple Whale could standardize naming convention across every single client they have on the platform, what type of data they would have, right?
Hmm.
That's what we're doing internal.
I should do that.
It would be insane. It would be insane what they could pull out of that, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I don't know if you guys have access to the Motion MCP, but there's some of that that's new. I mean, that's coming. That if you don't have access to it, you could maybe just email them and ask if you can get access to it or whatever. But there's a ton of crazy stuff that you can pull out of there. I think that this analysis, one is yes, this is what it looks like. It's specifically this type of ad or this type of thing we're putting out there that really is going to bring in the highest profitable customer. I think the future is totally that connection between the financial metrics of the business and understanding, what your inputs are on the marketing side and how you bring in more high value cohorts. So you're building this out. This is the data warehouse. You're looking at this. Like, what are some other tools that you've used in building this that so you talked about a couple of options, but what are some other connectors or anything else to mention there?
Yeah, it's pretty simple right now. It's literally all the connections, right? All the top funnel paid media kind of platforms across the board. Also, Klaviyo connects in, Attentive, all that kind of stuff. Post purchase surveys, we're building APIs over from post purchase surveys to feed that data in. Everything's pulled in through Airbyte. Airbyte goes over to Snowflake, stores into the Snowflake database, and then Snowflake database can kind of push anywhere, but MCPs over to Snowflake. They also have their own MCP on there, but we're feeding it back into Claude. Claude has so much information already about us because we've been so deep on it, right? Of kind of where the business stands and all that kind of stuff. So we're feeding it back over there and then basically running anything we want on top of Claude. But you're trying to, our goal as an agency is trying to cut down on the actual media buying part for our media buyers.